All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most vital languages in the entire world, JavaScript. And here's the cool part. We're going to do it using this incredible, one-of-a-kind guide, a set of beautiful handwritten notes from a software engineer.
I mean, really think about it for a second. You click a button, and a menu just appears. You start typing in a search bar, and suggestions pop up instantly. How did we go from just plain static pages to these, well, to these living, breathing things that react to our every move?
You know, in the early days of the internet, websites were basically flat, totally static. You could read stuff, look at pictures, and sure, you could click a link to go to another page, but that was it. There was zero real-time interaction. It was pretty much a one-way street. But then, that all changed. Right around the mid-90s, this brand new language was born, and it was created for one specific purpose: to run inside your web browser. It was designed to be the glue, the thing that could finally make a web page respond to you.
And this was it, JavaScript. For a long time, it was the only language that could run natively right there in your browser. And as our notes put it so perfectly, its whole job is to enable dynamic interactivity on websites. And that's really the key. This is the language that gives a web page a pulse. Now, what I think is so cool about this explainer is our source material. We're actually going to be guided by these fantastic, super clear handwritten notes. It just feels like a much more personal and direct way to get right to the heart of how all this stuff actually works.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to understand the basic toolkit. We're going to look at the fundamental ideas of the language, but don't worry, we're not going to get lost in the weeds. Think of it like learning the alphabet before we try to write a novel.
So the first and probably the most basic concept is something called a variable. The notes here call it a name of a storage location, but honestly, the best way to think about it is just as a labeled box. That's it. You give the box a name, and then you can stick some information inside it to use later.
And just like any language, it's got a few simple grammar rules for how you can name these boxes. As you can see right here in the notes, a name has to start with either a letter, an underscore, or a $sign. Pretty simple, right? So what kind of info can we actually put in these boxes? Well, our notes lay out the basics really well. A string is just text, a sequence of characters. A number is, well, it's a number, which is super important because you can do math with it. And then a Boolean is just a simple on-off switch, either true or false, perfect for making decisions in your code. Getting these types right is really the key.
All right, next up, functions. Now, if variables are kind of like the nouns of JavaScript, then functions are definitely the verbs. They're basically little bundles of instructions that you can write just one time and then use over and over and over again. This idea of reusability, it's incredibly powerful.
And here's a perfect example right from the notes. See this? A function is created, it's called MSG, and its only job is to pop up a message that says, "Hello, this is a message." You can then call that function from a button or anywhere else, and it'll run that exact same code every single time. Talk about efficient.
Okay, so we've got our basic toolkit. We have variables for storing information, and we have functions to perform actions. Now for the really cool part. How does JavaScript actually connect to the web page and, well, make things happen?
The secret is something called the DOM, which stands for Document Object Model. Our notes say it represents the whole HTML document, but honestly, the best way to think about it is as a live blueprint of the page. It's like a map that JavaScript can use to find any element, a button, a paragraph, an image, and then change it on the fly.
And this is just a perfect illustration of how that works. Over on the left, you see the basic HTML for the page. But look to the right at that handwritten note. See that command getElementById? That's JavaScript, using the DOM blueprint to say, hey, go find me the thing with this specific ID. And once it finds it, it can do pretty much anything to it. Change its color, change the text, whatever you want. But how does JavaScript know when to do something? Well, it listens for events. The notes describe an event as a change in the state of an object. I like to think of events as the web page's senses. It can feel a mouse click, it can hear a key being pressed, or it can see the mouse moving over something. And the process for this is actually super simple. It's called event handling. First, you, the user, do something. Let's say you click a button. Second, a little piece of code called an event listener is just sitting there, waiting, and it detects that click. And third, that listener triggers a specific JavaScript function to run. That's the whole loop.
Let's look at the code itself. See that little bit of text there? OnClick equals click event? That is the event listener. It's written right into the button's HTML, and it's telling the browser one very simple thing. Hey, when this button is clicked, I want you to immediately run the function named clickEvent.
And here it is. This is the payoff. When the button gets clicked, that on-click listener fires, the function runs, and boom, we get an instant result right on the screen. In this case, it's a simple pop-up box. This is the fundamental loop of all web interactivity. An event happens, a listener catches it, and a function provides the response.
So when you put all these pieces together, variables, functions, the DOM, and events, you have this incredibly powerful system for creating dynamic, living experiences. And that system has completely, totally taken over the modern web.
And you see this magic everywhere, every single day. When a form instantly tells you your password is too weak, or when a drop-down menu appears out of nowhere, or a clock on a page is updating in real time, just like our notes list right here. That is all JavaScript at work, making the web feel responsive and, well, alive.
When it comes down to it, it all circles back to this one simple, powerful statement from the very first page of our source notes. JavaScript is used to create interactive websites. That's it. Its entire reason for being is to transform a static, boring document into a responsive, living experience. So yeah, from a simple little alert box all the way up to the most complex web applications that you use every single day, it all starts with these basic building blocks. This is the language that literally woke up the web. And I guess the only question left is, what are you going to build with it?